Hello, Magic players. It's Corn. Corn times 60, and I'm playing a historic deck today. This is actually the main historic deck that I ever play in historic lately. It's blue-white control, if you can't tell. It's just a lot of fun. My definition of fun is when your opponent gets you down to 2 life, and then you still manage to win the game. So let's just go over the deck really quick before we actually play. 1 drop slot, we have 2 opts, because being able to just dig and get a card you need, that should be obvious. 1 mana tithe, because I think it's funny to mana tithe someone's turn 1 Thoughtseize or whatever they're doing. In the 2 drop slots, we have 2 Search for Azcanta. It's one of the most powerful control cards. Once you get it to flip, it's just a ton of value, especially with Teferi out. Censor, again, just a counter spell that can double as a draw spell. It's somewhere between Opt and Mana Tithe. It's almost like if you tape them together. I like it. Birth of Meletis. Now this one seems a little weird, right? But gaining 2 life, making a wall, and getting a plains, it replaces itself. We're control, so we usually want to hit at least 5 lands. Being able to search for a land is good. Being able to get a wall against aggro and gain life against aggro, also very good. In the 3 drop slot, we have 2 Absorb, 2 Archmage Charm, and 2 Naturalize. So we have 6 3-mana counter spells. These are our hard counter spells. Archmage's Charm can also draw cards and steal a permanent with CMC 1 or less mana value, right? It's different than converted mana cost. We have 2 Narset, Parter of Veils, because stopping our opponent from drawing is very good in the control mirror. I'm not running more of this because against aggro it can be pretty dead. By the time you play it on turn 3, it just does nothing. You'd have rather countered their damaging thing. Then we have Brutal Cathar and Deputy of Detention. And these are there simply because there's so much aggro for me to deal with. And if you can play a Deputy of Detention, steal like 3 of their things, and just stick them in an orb, I guess. That's a nice orb he's got. Or she. I don't know what that Vidalcan is. So you just stick them in an orb, and then they don't get to do anything. Brutal Cathar is arguably better, except it only hits creatures. It can't hit enchantments or artifacts. It can flip and end up getting multiple things. 4 drop slot, we have Cast Out. Good removal. Just lets me get rid of 1 non-land permanent. Whatever it is, just stop it. And that's good. You can also cycle it if that's not what you need. Day of Judgment, because it's a board wipe. Settler Wreckage, because it's a board wipe. It is situational, but sometimes it's actually better than a blanket Wrath, because you can use it during your opponent's turn, because it gets around indestructible, and so on and so forth. And 2 Memory Deluge, simply because getting cards. This is our dig through time, basically. 5 drop slot, a lot of important cards. A lot of one-ofs, oddly enough. Angel of Grace, I have seen it do so much work. It's a finisher. I was running that 5 drop Shark that counters something. I don't remember the name of it, but that 5 drop Shark that counters a creature or artifact spell, I think, wasn't as good. Having the evasion of flying is good, and if your opponent's comboing off and about to kill you, you can just play this and not die. And then they've just spent their crazy dragon combo, you're at 1 life, and then you just board wipe. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Dragonstorm players. Doomscar, another board wipe. We have 4 board wipes total. Time Wipe is the other board wipe. We're running that because it can bounce Deputy of Detention, or Brutal Cathar, or Angel of Grace, or Torrential Deerhulk, and give us value. All of our creatures give us value upon entering the battlefield. Elspeth Conquers Death. It exiles something of our opponents, it makes it harder for them to cast spells for a turn, and then we get something back, usually Teferi or Narset, but it could be Cathar or Deputy of Detention. Just solid card. Could even be a Gearhulk. Alright, Teferi. I'm just going to leave him on the screen here for a second, because he's just that good of a card in control. Draw a card, untap lands. Put something into its owner's library, third from the top. The emblem, if you get to the emblem, you're probably winning. That's the idea, at least. But mainly, he's draw an extra card a turn and untap 2 lands. Very, very, very powerful with Azcanta as the land. Now, in the 6-drop slot, we have our spicy finishers. Shark Typhoon usually ends up just getting cycled to make a shark to block something. But that's okay, because then it's doing its job. On the few occasions that I've actually cast it, it's just game ending, just game breaking, being able to make all these sharks. Commence the end game seems random, but it can't be countered, so against other control decks where we're both sitting around on an empty board, passing back and forth, countering each other's spells and all that shenanigans, being able to just surprise, I have like a 5/5 zombie now. That's pretty good. Sublime Epiphany is my cryptic command. In a lot of ways, it's worse than cryptic command, but in one way, it's better, and that one way is Torrential Gearhulk, which is the centerpiece of the deck. This is kind of why I built a control deck. Whenever Kaladesh was released on Arena, I was like, oh yeah, Torrential Gearhulk. And then, when I looked at Sublime Epiphany, I figured out that you can play Sublime Epiphany when you have a Torrential Gearhulk out, use the Sublime Epiphany to copy the Torrential Gearhulk, use the Gearhulk token to copy Sublime Epiphany to make another Gearhulk token to copy whatever other instant in your deck, which includes Commence the Endgame. I have used that to end games too. The counters go on the same zombie army. That is relevant. Lands, we have Castle, Hall of Storm Giants, some dual lands, Fabled Passage, and a Field of Ruin. Very simple. I picked these islands and plains out specifically because I think they're pretty. They don't need to be full art because everything's full art on Arena anyways. Sideboard, Portable Hole for aggro, Grafdigger's Cage for that black-red deck. You know what I'm talking about. Remorseful Cleric for that same black-red deck. Elite Spellbinder, I'm not really sure why. Maybe I just didn't know what to put in that slot. Mystical Dispute for the other control decks and blue decks. Same thing with Spell Pierce and Dovin's Veto. I'm not sure why that Mystical Dispute is away from the others. Has something to do with this best of 3 only thing. Fateful Absence against aggro, if I just need to remove things. Shatter the Sky as another board wipe. I know, why not another Day of Judgment? Just because I'm silly, I guess. Doomscar as just another board wipe. And then Field of Ruin, because a lot of people run a lot of man lands, and that can be annoying. Also good against other control decks that are flipping Azcanta. And without further ado, we will get into it. This thing reminds me of Shiki-Ouija or Shiki-Oji from Persona 5. That's a pretty good video game. I apologize if you can hear me drinking water. But I'm not going to stop drinking water. Men at 1,002. I don't really know what that name is going for. But most people wouldn't know what my name is going for anyways. This guy makes spores. It's kind of fun. Oh, here we go. We actually have a game here. 3 Fabled Passages. Well, if I'm against aggro, I'm just dead. But, sure. Live dangerously. This'll be a plains. We're not playing around stifle. If he stifles that, then just whatever, man. Which one of these is first depends on what the opponent's doing. I'm guessing opt or consider. This is a really ugly island. I'm sorry, Adam Paquette. I'm sure you're a talented artist. I certainly couldn't draw this. I couldn't make this, whatever this is. But I don't like it. It doesn't look like an island to me. It looks like a track from Mario Kart or something. Am I allowed to just name drop all these things? It's not like I'm actually using them. But yeah, look at this. Look, where would you rather... Well, look at this island, right? You're going on vacation to an island, right? Would you rather be at this island or this island? You know, if you're a real gamer, you probably pick this one, right? Did he get any Phoenix in the graveyard? I'm probably going to sideboard in... I don't think Grafdigger's Cage actually stops it. Now, he's pretty close to Delirium. I think we play Cathar here. That way, if he has removal, it forces him to use it now rather than later. Here come the Phoenixes. Was I wrong? Opt. Opt. That's a pretty card. Oh, here comes the Phoenix. Oh, does that exile? That exiles. I want a board wipe. I'm in danger. Maybe I should have played Narset. Too late now. Too late now. We all make misplays sometimes. We probably Memory Deluge for a board wipe. We eat 4. And then Memory Deluge. Does he counter it? He counters it. Very good. Very good. And now that's a 3/3. We try for Teferi. If this gets countered, I think that's about game. He probably plays Unholy Heat. I'm wrong. I wonder if I should be running like 4 opt, 4 consider, but I have no idea what I would cut for that. I don't have anything I can do about that. Swings at Teferi. Then Teferi did his job, is what that means. Oh. I guess I should have somehow tapped differently if I had done the 2 islands. Well, we really need a board wipe now. Like, right now. Glacial Fortress is not a board wipe. Hallowed Fountain is not a board wipe. We're getting desperate. The opponent knows we're getting desperate. Oh, I don't even have Absorb mana up. I think we're kinda dead. The plan is cycle Shark Typhoon for a chump blocker. That's the plan now. Cycle Shark Typhoon, try not to die. Oh, this is a very bad first showing of this deck, but that's okay. I have to, like, look at the... Return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. I have to read Grafdigger's Cage and Arclight Phoenix and think about whether it actually stops it or not. I'm not sure what actually saves me here. Probably nothing. Probably nothing. Like, this gets past Spell Pierce, but it does not get past Test of Talents. Wow. Frankly, I'm a little astounded that resolved. Alright, we're not out of it yet. Not quite yet. We're pretty close to being out of it. We're pretty close to being out of it. What can we do? We can Teferi and put that on the deck at 3 life. Oh no, if he has looting, that means he's getting the Phoenix back and we're dead this turn. We are out of it. What could I have done differently? Yeah. And he has a sideboard against us. Cleric, one portable hole. Throw in Spellbinder because it can make things cost more, and disputes. Alright, let's think. Creature cards in graveyards, blah blah blah. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. I think that does stop Phoenix. Well, that's a complete overhaul, isn't it? We'll forget the portable hole. Time Wipe was expensive. ECD is pretty good. We'll drop a Gear Hulk. Drop Commence the Endgame, because at that point it's kind of win more. Drop a Naturalize. Drop Birth of Meletus. Drop Censor. Keeping in Angel of Grace and Settle the Wreckage. There, that's fine. We can be at 62. Someone tell me that I'm doing things wrong because I leave my deck at 62. There's no rule against it. I could put in my entire sideboard if I wanted to. We'll keep this. When I hit 3 mana, I have a lot of cards I can play. With both of these, that's actually good against this kind of an aggro deck. Would be nice if we just top deck Grafdigger's Cage. Turn off Phoenix completely. We're just gonna opt now. Nope. That's not a land. That is. That is a land, and we can steal the Dragon's Rage Channeler with Archmage's Charm. Or not. He's shocked because he has Test of Talents. I feel like he has to play something pretty threatening for me to not just steal. We're gonna absorb that. Because that's 2 cards. That's 2 cards of card advantage. That's more card advantage than we want to let our opponent have. Spellbinder. Seems kind of good, actually. Because then I get to see what he's working with. Show me what you're working with. We're going to get rid of the Faithless Looting, I think. Make it cost 3. He can consider and play Stormwing, and then we don't care that he considers and plays Stormwing. I just hope he doesn't have one of those cards that lets you put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Stormwing. He likes those cards. No blocks. Well, that's not what I was hoping for exactly. I feel like he kills the Brutal Cathar somehow. I don't want to play Archmage's Charm for draw. And I don't think I care about him getting the Scry. Alright, that's right, aggro deck. I'm firing back this early, even though I'm in blue-white control. Sprite Dragon hurts. Almost as much as Pepsi Dragon. Or is it? Sierra Mist Dragon isn't as funny. Nah, that's not as funny. Well. We can take away the Dragon's Rage Channeler and just hit for 5. Or we can draw 2 and hope to hit a land. And we take that. I don't think he even stops us. Even if he has something, I don't think he stops us. Oh, he does. He do. That is not a surprise 3-3, so we're swinging out. I should have just passed. I should have passed and let Cathar flip, because his whole thing is casting multiple spells a turn. I should have just done nothing, let Cathar flip, be a 3-3 first strike. Then during his turn I could cast something, and he would also almost definitely flip it. He hasn't hit he hasn't hit a single Phoenix yet. There's Stormwing, though. Plains. Well, not quite. While I would rather pitch the Sprite Dragon, for some reason I feel like I'm aggro right now. Like, now he has to hold up blockers. And if he accidentally gives that Delirium, or otherwise overextends. Ooh, there's a Phoenix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's lethal? No, it's not. He's overextending. Oh, man. Am I about to steal this game? Am I about to steal this game? Through the dumbest means possible. Nope, he's too smart. You're too smart for me. If I Deputy of Detention, that's not exactly the best. I think I Teferi away the Sprite Dragon. Because otherwise he can force blocks. Or do I just play nothing? Play nothing, hold up Mystical Dispute, let Cathar flip. That's not worth it. That's not worth it. We play Teferi. He spell pierces Teferi. And now he can force blocks. Now that he can force blocks, this is a losing game. He just milled a Spell Pierce. What did he draw that's better than Spell Pierce? Like, even if he hits a Phoenix. Okay, he is. He's going for the Phoenix. He can already force blocks, but he wants to force blocks and get me down to 3 life. Does he hold back? Does he hold back Sprite Dragon? No. Well, I have to block there. Otherwise, I'm dead. None of this does anything. Alright, first game of Historic. Not a good showing. Not a good showing at all, but to be fair, I'm against one of the main decks that people play. I don't know if I can say that. I don't look at the percentages, but I run into that deck a lot.